Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Um, just a little update on how the tank's looking. As you can see, it's still doing wonderful. Our population stands at 21 discus. Most of them have fully integrated and they're enjoying themselves. A few of them remain shy because the established discus, Big Red there, he wants to make sure he keeps his top roll. He's realizing that everybody's catching up to him in size, so he's making sure everybody knows. And the newer, smaller discus have to, you see one down there. He's tucking himself out around the corner. He's not hiding. He's in the middle of the tank. He's not up in the corner or nothing, but he's making sure he's being respectfully out of the way, and that's fine. This guy over here, he's doing it too. Well, he's colored up nice. He's happy, but yeah, this Big Red's just a bit of a jerk. He wants to make sure he maintains his position. I'm surprised one of these other fish haven't taken him on yet, because a couple of them are bigger than Big Red now. I believe this one is. And this one. This one's been growing like mad. Like, he caught up so fast. He likes to eat. He really, really likes to eat. A lot of them do. And you can actually tell who likes to eat and who doesn't, basically, based on the size. Because these fish are all roughly the same age. And we have different results, different fish, different batches. Poor little orange girl here. I believe she's a girl. Big Red does not pick on her. He will not pick on her. He will chase every other fish in his tank off food, and he will let her eat it. She's the little one. I don't know if he's given her grace because she's young, but he doesn't give the other young ones grace. So I believe she's a female, and he's got his eye on her. He's going to wait for her to grow up. See, he keeps people away from her. Other fish that have presented as males have flirted with her. She is stunted if we come in on her. Unfortunately, this fish is the last remaining fish from a local pet shop that unfortunately sold me a number of diseased discus, and a few died. So she had hexamita real bad. She's cured now. She poops normal, and she eats real good. But she's just, I guess, gained weight and not grown is what's going on. Maybe she has to regain or get to a certain body weight ratio. But if you take a look at the size of her eye, she's not dangerously stunted. She's not end of the world stunted, but she's not growing. Those blue fish were a little smaller than her when they showed up. This blue fish right here. So you can see he's made gains on her. Hopefully she starts to grow soon. I believe she will, because I can still fit, well, three eyes if we do the eyeball from the top to the bottom thing. She's about 3 eyes, and that does mean she's stunted right now, and she probably never will meet. Will never get show quality size or shape because she's stunted like this. If you see a pet shop that's keeping discus in a rack full of 10 gallons, don't buy them. If you see someone selling discus of the 3 to 4 inch variety and they're keeping them in a 10-gallon tank, yeah, just say no. I've learned my lesson. Like, I want to say I'm never going to buy pet shop discus again, but I mean, this is a result of me being a noob, and I thought she was in pretty good shape. So it might. I don't think she's a bad purchase. I just and she'll breed fine, and she'll produce perfectly fine, healthy babies that will grow perfectly fine, because it's not a genetic problem. So she might not produce as many eggs as a fully beefed out discus. So she's got spunk. She's got the fight for life. She's not shy. She bosses other fish around that are twice her size, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes of her. I don't mind having a slightly stunted discus. I think everyone's probably got at least one. If they've got several discus, one of them probably didn't do as well as the rest. And like I said, she's tougher than the rest. She's small, but she's mighty. And Big Red lets her eat. He'll I don't know. It's almost like she owns Big Red, and Big Red just protects her. So they'll be a good pair because they're both the same color, and they'll make excellent babies. I don't think she's a pigeon blood, but she is starting to get some white along the edges of her fins there. So maybe she will color up as a pigeon blood. I think she's just going to be some form of melon, and but we'll see. Or like a red striped melon is what I'm thinking. But really like her. I really like her a lot. So that's enough of her. The other thing I really wanted to get into today, now that we've had a look at all the fishies, is the topic of UV filtration. Now, I've been all over the map. I've watched all kinds of videos filled with all kinds of opinions, and I found that when it comes to UV filtration, there's a lot of hype / misconceptions, and I'm not sure if the misconceptions are on purpose, because there's competing industries using a UV filter or sterilizer in your system, whatever they call them, because different companies will call them sterilizers and other companies will call them filters. But using one in your tank is going to save you a lot of hassles. That's the short answer. It's a lot of the problems that develop in sensitive fish like discus. They develop because there's a high bio load in the actual water column. I'm not talking about on the rocks, or I'm not talking about your beneficial bacteria. I'm talking about the stuff you don't want, harmful or other bacteria that will compete with your beneficial bacteria for resources floating in your water column. That bacteria also make your water look dirty. So a lot of people want, clear water. I certainly do for my discus. And it's the other life that's the microscopic life that's floating in the water. It will build up, especially if you've got 21 fish in a 90 gallon, which is not recommended, but I'm doing it right now because I want them to pair off. Get as many pairs as I can by spring. They grow up together in the same tank. They will pair off. I just have to keep their conditions optimal and keep the water clean. So back to the topic of the UV filters. As many of you know and have seen, I've been running this UV filter unit. And this is a SUNSUN JP01. It's a basic model. It says that, I think it's like 200. Let me get the box over here for you. So there's the box. And I believe it was something like 260. Let's have a look here. It was like 200 and something gallons per hour. And that's the makeup of it. So this unit has a 9-watt bulb in it. And honestly, that's nothing to frown at. You don't want the 6-watt bulb. And there's a lot of hype out there when they talk about bulbs and the speed of the water going over the bulb, and it almost sounds like everybody watched the same original video and just regurgitated the information. And the information really is, it's not wrong, and I'll get into that, but it's not right either, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. So if you watch videos online about UV, they're going to tell you the same thing. You're going to see it over and over and over again. I know you will, because I did. And why isn't it showing me anywhere on the box the gallons per hour here? Bear with me. Here's the stats. 9-watt bulb, and output 800 liters per hour. Okay, I'm an older guy, I like to think in gallons, but there it is, 800 liters per hour, and I believe it's something like 264 gallons per hour on this unit. So I've got in a 90-gallon tank, and this unit is rated to be used in up to an 80-gallon tank. So it is too small for my 90-gallon tank, and my 90-gallon tank also has 25-30-gallon sump. I never really measured it, but it's roughly that. And that's that's a lot of water volume, right? So I got at least somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 gallons of water in my tank. When I initially set this up, and you'll see it in my earlier videos, I put it down in my sump, and it did a good job down there, because I figured putting this in my 25-gallon sump, turning over water at 264 gallons an hour, it's gonna touch that water several times over in that small body, in that small tank in the sump. And it worked. The water was very clear running it down there. And my population was pretty small at the time when I was running this in the sump. So that worked, but it didn't ultimately support the population that I have now, which is 21 fish. So I started looking into larger options, bigger UV lights. Pros and cons, benefits, right? So the next one up, basically from the 9, well, there's a 12 out there, but good luck finding it. And you just get one bulb with it. When you buy the 9, I'll put a link up for this specific one, because there's some without the extra bulbs, but the one I bought here comes with a bulb installed and 2 extra bulbs. Each bulb has something like 3,400 hours of life expectancy. You may as well just cut that in half, and if you cut that in half, you're basically looking at 6 months. So I'm going to change my bulbs every 6 months. These units only cost like 50, I think it was $60 after tax. Okay. So it's a 9-watt bulb. You get 2 extra replacement bulbs. You get 2 extra replacement sponges for the filter, but you can double them up if you want to slow down your flow. That's how you do it. You just add sponges to it. It will slow down your flow. I don't want to slow down my flow, and that's where I think there's a lot of dogma and hype out there when you watch all the other videos, and that's why I think everybody's regurgitating the same information. And what they'll tell you is you need the biggest bulb you can get, and then you want to run your water over it very slowly. This is what they'll tell you. And then, because you went out and got the biggest bulb that you could find, and the biggest system that you can find, some of them are hundreds of dollars, hundreds. And the economy version of, let's say, a 25 watt. Now I'll get into this one in a little bit, but that's still like $160. I'm talking Canadian dollars. So American dollars would probably be a little cheaper. Like I said, I'll put the links up, and then you can figure out what it costs in your region. But this unit is $50 plus tax, and it's got a 9-watt bulb. What's the difference between a 9 and a 25-watt bulb? So they're telling you that you want to get something, let's say the bigger bulb, the 25 watt bulb, and then you want to run the water over at the gallons per hour very slowly so that there's more exposure time for whatever's passing over the bulb to get completely annihilated. But your exposure to UV light per hour overall would be significantly dropped. And then because these large bulbs cost a lot of money, like the 25 watt replacement bulbs are anywhere from $65 to $85 depending on brand and, you know, reseller. But they're not cheap, and they also burn out faster. They do. They burn out faster. Like, we're talking, if you look, well, the whole unit sucks anyway. It's one of the, I'm not going to mention brand names, but it's one of the major internal ones like this one that you'll find on Amazon, and you'll see everyone talking about them in the videos. But like sponsored videos, clearly, because they're not saying anything bad about the unit. And initially, I'm sure the unit works fine. It's got a 25 watt UV bulb in it. But if you read the reviews, you'll notice that almost all of them claim that the entire unit failed to work after 28 days or, you know, a month and a half, or but typically around the 1 month period, this $150 unit or $160 unit from this maker that I'm not going to name, yeah, they burn out and die on you in a month. And it's not the bulb, it's the unit that dies. I don't know if they're complaining about the bulb. No one says the bulb. They say that it's stopped working. So I was really considering buying that one because I'd watched a lot of YouTube video reviews. But then when you go and read the purchaser reviews, you realize it's a waste of your money. So instead of buying one of those for 3 times the price of what this was, I needed to up my game because I have 21 fish now. So I just bought another one of these because then I get another 2 bulbs. It says if I change them every 6 months, and 6 months is early, I could wait 8 months and extend it. But to make sure that the bulb is performing properly, I'll be changing my bulbs every 6 months. One of these $50 units will last me a year and a half. I'll throw the whole thing out and buy a brand new one in a year and a half and replace it, you know, instead of buying bulbs. And then I get 3 new bulbs again. So these JP01s, and I will put up the link so you get the one with the extra bulbs, are fantastic machines. They have their downfalls. You have to do weekly maintenance on them, but like, oh well, maintenance, big deal. Like, it's not hard. You just pull them out, open them up. You pull off. Let's get back over to the box here, where we got the internal picture. So you see that the bulb here is encased in that green colored thing is actually will be a quartz glass sleeve. It's got a rubber O-ring up top and it seals in, and then there's a plastic shield over that to you know, protect, well, to draw the water. It draws the water in close to the bulb and then it spits it out the top. So it's sucking the water in down from the bottom, pulling it up over the bulb, spitting it out the top. And yeah, so that's how that's the basic function of the thing. But yeah, so I bought 2 of them. Now I'm going to run them 24/7 instead of doing what they recommend with the expensive ones, because you spent like so much money on your bulb replacements that you don't want to run them 24/7. So then these people are, you know, pretty much defeating the purpose. They've slowed down the flow rate, so they're getting less water over bulb in a short period of time. Bacteria multiplies like some bad stuff. We're talking minutes, even seconds, it depends on what kind of bacteria we're talking about, but it can take off, and it can take off quick. And you don't want something running every 4 hours very slowly, you're just, it's just, I don't understand how all the videos are saying that. It's just, it's ridiculous. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Now these things do 264 gallons per hour over that narrow passage, keeping the water close to the light. The difference between the 9 watt and the 25 watt is it's all still UV light, but the 25 watt is going to throw that UV light an extra inch off the bulb. That's it. Not even probably. It's probably less than an inch. Like, and I know this because I used to grow plants and use the old school parabolic hydroponic bulbs, and you learn about all this stuff with that. And these bulbs are essentially those kind of bulbs, and they work the same way. They're just low wattage. So when you go from a 9 watt to a 25 watt, the only thing that's going to change is the distance, the effective distance of light off the edge of the glass bulb, emitting that light. And you would think that, well, a 25 watt should throw like almost 3 times further than 9 watt, but no, it's a diminishing return. It's a massive diminishing return, and you don't really gain much distance. You could have a 200 watt bulb, and you might not even get a 1/4 inch, because as the number gets higher, the gains, the penetration for the UV light, the gain is just less and less and less and less. So the bigger the unit you get, and the more you spend on it, and you'll spend exponentially more on it too. It's not helping you. It's not helping you. And then you're trying to preserve it by running it 4 hours a day. No. Instead, you buy what I did. I bought another one of these. I have another one now in the other corner because it is designed for an 80-gallon tank. I was overworking it with 8 to 10 fish. It was still keeping up, and my water was perfectly clear. But for the last 2 weeks, and because I added so many fish to the tank, I threw my cycle out. So I've been just mad water changing, and hoping the cycle would catch up. And it is catching up. The cycle's doing well now. I think I'm just about there. I might need another week of excessive water changing, and then I can go back down to, not having to work so hard. But that's the price I pay for throwing too many fish in at once, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. It was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So the other SUNSUN, same exact model, is running back behind this log here. And we're just going to have to shift over my position. You can see it. It's back behind there. I used the log to sort of camouflage it. And I've turned on the bubbles just a little bit. I actually prefer them off, but I've turned them on so we can see how the flow is working in the tank. It's kind of like having a power head on each side, which is great. So you get the additional. I don't need power heads because I got these, and these things are killing biology floating around in my water column. It's awesome. Or making sure I never have a bacterial bloom. I never have an algae bloom. And so now 2 9-watt units, each running 264 gallons an hour, versus say a 25 or 30 watt expensive unit that you're so paranoid to use because you can't afford to replace the bulb, and you're only running it 4 hours a day. I'm running both of these units. Well, I'm suck at math, but it's 264 plus 264. You know what I mean? That's what 2, 4. Sorry, I'm tired. I didn't sleep well last night. But over 500 gallons an hour is being hit with UV, period. The design of the casing of the unit makes sure the water is close enough to the bulb, and it works. And if it doesn't kill a parasite, it's still going to sterilize it, especially when it's being hit like 90 gallons It's basically every molecule of water in this tank is being hit like 5 to 7 times an hour, give or take, because like, yeah, it's but roughly. And as opposed to you run it for 4 hours only in a 24-hour period. You better bang for your buck doing this. And the running, some people might think 264 gallons an hour, that's insane, because they fell for the dogma that told them that they need to run the water slowly over the bulb. If you run the water slowly over the bulb, it's going to heat up more. If it heats up more, it's not going to last as long. If it heats up too much, it's going to, I don't know. Anyway, this keeps the bulb cold, so you don't have that issue either. This unit here has been running on the right. It's been running for, I think, about 4 months, and I do remember that December is when I'm going to change my first bulb on that one. And it's going strong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that unit. You just give it a good clean once a week, get all the snails out of it, because I have a snail problem. I have some assassin snails that are fighting them, and hopefully they win the war. But and then this one over here, brand new, so I'll change that one in like April. Change the bulb out. Both of them slightly over, around $120. $120. My tank is crystal clear again. My fish are very happy, and it's getting the job done. So don't get drawn into UVs that cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, because it's hype. And then you'll see a lot of other people telling you, no, UV is bad, don't use UV, it's cheating and all this. No, it isn't. Though you'll notice the channels that say that are also heavily sponsored by various aquarium chemical companies, and those companies sell you meds, and they sell you water cleaning products and all sorts of things that you won't buy or need to buy if you're running an effective UV system. So, and I'm here to tell you that you can do that for simply like 120 Canadian dollars. It's probably like 85 bucks US, or to buy 2 of these things. And that's it. This is they're completely and totally keeping around 120 gallons of water crystal clear. Now, if I had money to waste on a unit that was going to self-destruct in 30 days, I would swap them out for the 25 watt and see if there's a difference. I bet you there's no difference. And get a microscope out and look for life forms in the water. I bet you like it'll be the same. Parts per million and all that. Beware the gimmicks, folks. Beware the gimmicks. If you're going to buy a UV system, you should be comfortable with the cost of replacing the bulbs. It shouldn't be 60 bucks a bulb or 80 bucks a bulb. So, 9 times 2. I have an 18 watt UV system. The length of my combined, running water over the length of bulb, you'll hear them talking about that a lot. My length of bulb is longer than a $500 setup would be if you lined them up, and it's a long bulb. I got 18 watts of bulb that's putting water over it constantly, 24 hours a day. Even if a parasite was too hardy to be killed by the light, the same problem would exist with a 25 watt. Wouldn't kill them. But what it will do is it'll stop them from reproducing. It will sterilize them. They will not be able to fertilize their young, and you can end the cycle that way. So if you're running saltwater fish or expensive fish like discus, and you you're like a diehard, I'm not going to run UV guy, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You truly are just shooting yourself in the foot. And if expense has been stopping you, because trust me, expense stops me from a lot of things. Expense pushed me into this corner, and it worked. I mean, I experimented with it, and it's effective. So save your money, buy this unit, buy 2 of them, buy 3 of them if you need it, depending on the size of your tank. You know, each unit handles 80 gallons. Just do the math, and put a little overkill in your tank. So I have 160 gallons worth of UV protection in 120 gallons worth of water. I had 80 gallons of UV protection in 120 gallons of water, and when I had 8 to 10 discus, it was fine. It did a fine job. But I bought the second one because I want to run 21 discus in this tank until they pair off, and I needed the extra juice. So I am now very thankful I didn't buy a 25 watt internal unit. That would have cost me 3 times as much. And I like running multiple units of everything. As you've noticed, I've got 2 hang on the backs, I've got 2 UVs, I've got 2 of these heaters, because things fail, and redundancy, it'll save your life. It'll save your fish's lives. So, especially with filtration. If you've got all your filtration in one canister filter and your UV lights built in, great. Fine, your tank's going to run until that one unit fails, and then you've got a couple of hours to safely find it and fix it before everybody dies. Because discus will not put up with dirty water. And if they're used to immaculate cleanliness and you throw them in a swamp, they're dead. Anyhow, this has been one of my longest videos, but I really wanted to talk about that UV stuff because don't believe the hype. Just don't. These little JP units are excellent. You just got to scrub down the sleeve every time you clean it, because you get to burn off residue on the sleeve. And of course the UV light deteriorates everything, so it's a plastic sleeve, it will deteriorate. So you want to take a plastic scrub brush every time you do your maintenance on the unit and clean out that protective sleeve to ensure that all the crud is off it, and rinse it until it's clean, because you will actually see black soot on it. But once you rinse it clean, you're good to go, and it's not a problem. It doesn't hurt your fish. Some people might be concerned that it's releasing microplastics in the water. I assure you that even the most expensive units out there are still using plastic sleeves, and all plastic is going to be subject to deterioration from a UV light. Even stuff as tough as PVC pipe. Actually, even the crystal quartz sleeves they give you to protect, to keep the light out of the water, they will turn milky white, because they will too get destroyed. That's why I like that these units are cheap, because in a year and a half, my quartz sleeves will be milky white, and that will reduce the effectiveness of even a brand new bulb, because it has to penetrate, instead of a clear glass, it's milky glass. So that's why I'm happily going to throw these units out in a year and a half, because that's about how long the quartz is probably going to last, and replace them for a little over $100 and keep going, rinse, repeat. That's my advice for UV. Save yourself the money. If you buy the recommended top reviewed YouTube brand name, you will be disappointed in about a month, based on the reviews I've read from several different sellers of that unit. Everybody seems to like this little SUNSUN unit, and SUNSUN will sell you a great product at a reasonable price. The one downfall is weekly maintenance. I'm not afraid to work to save a little money. I hope this video has been informative. If it has been, please consider subscribing, maybe hitting the like button, and slowly trying to build up the channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day.